This is Camnet TV main news at 19:30. Let's look at the top stories. President Hakainde Hichilema challenges the labor movement support efforts to curb wasteful expenditure. Police in Lusaka's Kanyama compound have arrested 14 suspected criminals. A political activist advises citizens against shunning voting on account of failed campaign pledges. In international headlines, hundreds of Nigerian students are still stranded in the conflict-hit Sudan. And in Sports Chess Federation, President Leslie CHIKUSE urges young players to work hard. We have the details shortly after this message.
Zambia, a nation under God overnight prayer summit. Can God heal a nation economically, morally? Can Jehovah heal individuals from their bondages and troubles? Lusaka and Zambia is coming alive by overcoming traditions and denominational barriers. Believers called by the name of the Lord are gathering to seek the face of God in repentance and intercession for the nation. Don't miss this Holy Spirit-inspired overnight. Come and attend this overnight prayer summit. Date, 5th May 2023. Venue, Healing Word Ministries International in Ibex Hill, Kablonga. Time, 1945 hours. Speakers, Dr. Billy Lubansa.
Chitwe mambo, solwe solwe, chimwitwa pakakali, chishaibumba. Amen. Lesa wamilalo, amen. Kape kape, amen. Upelango kufwiti, amen. Katantala pamabim, amen. Lesa na luntutwe, amen. Chimba milonga, amen. Chanda mayanda, zambi mwina bantu, amen. Zambi wabukola.
Dr. Francis Miles.
God in the court of heaven is the book of your destiny. When that book opens, come on somebody, it carries a testimony that contradicts every struggle in your life.
And your hosts, Pastor Victoria and Moses Chiluba. Ministering in music, Brother Chifundo from the Copper Belt. Brother Oswald from Lusaka. Don't miss this life-changing prayer summit. See you there.
Thank you so much for joining us to present the news. My name is Louisiana Lupumbwe, and now the news in detail. A man of Lusaka's garden compound, suspected to be in his 30s, identified as Peter Kamwendo, has allegedly committed suicide after a marital dispute with his wife. Speaking to Camnet News, neighbors of the deceased Monday morning woke up to loud cries from his wife, who indicated that her husband had hung himself in their one-roomed house, which they shared with a child below 10 years old. Others say the couple's fight began at a local bar Sunday night and may have continued after morning leading to the incident. We have details by Zipporah Mshala.
While seeming like a happy couple on the outside and living in this one-roomed house in LUSAKA'S garden compound with one child, neighbors were Monday morning shocked after they woke up to loud cries that Peter Kamwendo, the man of the house, had hanged himself in the early hours of the morning and was now dead. A neighbor of the family says he heard disturbing noises at around 05 hours, only to later learn that his neighbor had allegedly taken his life.
05 something. So twachisa umfwa wati chimuchireriro kwati maraiti. Mwi few time ifo chachisa. So na chisa ima na lengera pa window na muno kutabuli abantu. Ati maybe bakabwala. Ati akabwala utabwera 05. Na chifua kufuma panse chachifuma madamu ale pyanga so na chisa sura kofi so after kuma 06 ukisa kufuma panse na chimona abantu baliuko ata umuntu nayikakira munganda so ine na chimona ati maybe efile twachira mfo kati kuma 05 kwachi bati purukutu then chile kwati mara itfi stay no chareka no kulega.
Another neighbor who sought confidentiality says the couple were in a dispute Sunday evening in a fight that started at a local bar.
Ndewe namba mairo klodi kwe bagulisira akazi bagulisa amafu chicken pachiba hapo paji ndipo wenzo menyana na amuna na akazi vanamenyana mpaka amuna akazi anabowa mbopunda kawalala uyo ndimo amene vantu angry mob kwambo menya amuna vana vamenya tikawalala kulibanisa na menye vanamenya vantu kumaketi pakuvafikisa kapirani pati hapo kuma 03 foot iyo time izo kuma 21 kwa fipa so kuma 03 foot yenzeko foot pa nyumba pa next hapo yauka futi kumenyana paka pa nyumba paja kuuka kutea muti onongera vintu tukani pano endani kunyumba kwanu after manje babwera kuno kunyumba nimwe yanangenera na mnyumba after bangena kutoka hapo tango dabata bati muntu kusena tazimangirira
after bwa muntu unangwa bwa kambati ati pamino kalibe kufa apenenza kamba vitani bina unambira chapa akambati pamino kalibe kufa so ine ndemo nezi nagonera nambomvererera nimvera chongo palasi na bwana mvera che muntu akoloma pamene hapo namvera kwankala na zina mvera monga bantu baenda monga bakamba so.
Workmates of the deceased, who was a machine operator at a named company, have described him as a happy and hard-working person.
For the last week tezenaye kunchito so mairo pa Friday tezenaye kunchito takambako na eve so lero kuseni nepa namvera mzanga ukunchita ntumira foni atawambira ko bwanja zawo inata apa bebainizi bapo atambira tafu so ndipo natumira ko uyu naipa anuza semu ati namvera so tentifikeko so ndiye kubwera manje tutakomvema ndifazo.
By broadcast time, the Zambia police were yet to issue a statement on what really transpired. Zipora Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Police in Lusaka's Kanyama compound have arrested 14 suspected criminals and a gang leader identified as Justin Chinyama, also known as Donda, who has been on police wanted list. During the operation that was conducted in the early hours of Monday, 1st May of 2023, which led to the arrest of the 14 criminals, the police also managed to recover assorted household properties, including 19 mobile cellular phones and several television sets. Police Deputy Spokesperson Danny Mwale says a manhunt for another leader, only identified as transporter, has been launched. Mr. Mwale has since appealed to residents of Kanyama compound and surrounding areas who may have lost assorted items to ensure that they visit the police office to identify their items. Details are in this report.
An operation conducted in the early hours of Monday, 1st May 2023 by police officers in Lusaka's Kanyama compound has resulted in the arrest of 14 criminals, among them their gang leader, a 21-year-old identified as Justin Chinyama, also nicknamed Donda. The criminals, aged between 16 and 21 years, are behind several aggravated robberies in Kanyama compound and surrounding areas. The arrests have also resulted in the recoveries of several household goods, and Police Deputy Spokesperson Danny Mwale now explains.
Arrested 14 suspected criminals during the early hours of today, May 1, 2023, here in Kanyama compound. And among the people that we have arrested is the group leader, the gang leader known as Dando. His full name is Justin Chinyama, aged 21. So they are all in police custody. But we are looking for one who is commonly known as Transporter. We are yet to get his full names. We have launched a manhunt for him. He is known also to be the group leader.
Among the items recovered are offensive weapons used to break in businesses and homes, and drugs which the criminals were smoking.
So altogether the phones are 19. You can see the television sets that we have equally picked from them. This was a recovery that we did after arresting them. Yes, so we can't quantify how much the properties are for now, because we are waiting for the owners to come and identify.
Police officers have since sent a strong warning to all the criminals to be on the lookout, while members of the public who may have lost any of the items recovered have been advised to visit Kanyama police station and identify their items.
Had a tip-off from the members of the public, and then that information we got from them led to the arrest of these criminals. So we thank members of the public. This is how it should be always. Whenever they feel they have information that might assist us to apprehend or to arrest these criminals quickly, they come in to report.
The police have since pledged to continue eliminating all criminal elements in the communities. Prudence Chota reporting for Camnet TV News.
Zambia's President Hakainde Hichilema has challenged labor union to support government's efforts to cut down on wasteful expenditure in government. President Hichilema has cited the cost of operating the presidential Gulf Stream and the purchasing of high-powered executive vehicles for government officials as a huge cost. He says inasmuch as government has the responsibility to offer decent jobs to its people, the jobs should not be wasteful. Meanwhile, the president has urged beneficiaries of the 20% partial withdrawal from NAPSA to consider investing it in beneficial sectors. And Zambia National Congress of Trade Unions ZCTU President Blake Mulala has urged government to consider creating decent jobs for its people. More in this report.
President Hakainde Hichilema Monday led thousands of Zambian citizens in commemorating the 2023 International Labour Day at the Freedom Statue in Lusaka, which is being held under the theme Accelerating Job Creation for Economic Growth. The colorful event was spiced by march past from different institutions, organizations, professionals, men and women in uniform, including from young ones.
Celebrating International Labour Day in style, and of course we have Pastor Matembo, who is in charge of the Nigerian. What we have also is the Ministry of Land and Natural Resources.
And International Labour Organization ILO Country Officer Penayambeko Munkawa urged government to focus on equality, poverty alleviation and social protection by providing quality jobs for its citizens.
In other words, focus on inequality and poverty alleviation and social protection. The most effective way of doing this is by providing quality jobs so that people can support themselves and build their own futures. Decent work for all, as the Sustainable Development Goal 8 terms it.
Meanwhile, the Zambia Congress of Trade Union President Blake Mulala in his speech urged government to consider creating decent jobs for its members that will ensure that they are motivated to deliver in their duties.
I appeal to our colleagues working under the different ministries, especially Ministry of Immigration. Zambia has a population of skilled workers. We want to appeal to you not to invite excess workers in fields where we have available skills. Can we take advantage of the local skills before we can think of bringing expatriates to take?
The situation of being unemployed has put so many people in destitute positions, as they do not find it easy to put food on their table.
And President Hakainde Hichilema in his response has challenged the union to support government's efforts to cut on wasteful expenditure, which will allow for some resources to be freed and later invested in other sectors of development.
Mr. President, here is what we need from you. We need your support in this agenda to cut expenditure. I'm talking about unnecessary expenditure, so that we can create savings. Part of that expenditure is to ensure that we do not operate that Gulf Stream. It's so expensive, the running costs are too high. What else? Presidential jet I'm talking about. That's why you see me, I don't use it, because the cost of running that plane is too high. It should have never been bought. We need a union to support us. We don't want government ministers driving VXs, expensive VXs. It's not just the cost of buying the VX, it's maintenance, it's fuel. When you switch that engine, voo, 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 1 liter. 1 liter of fuel.
Meanwhile, the president has also advised all those who have benefited from the 20% NAPSA withdrawal to ensure the wisely investment of the resources to also help create employment.
Mr. President, let us work together to educate those who are getting the 20% NAPSA withdrawal, not to consume all of it. This country developed a habit of consumption and dancing around. We must develop the habit of investing. Even the small amount that you have, you can invest in revenue generating venture. That will now allow us to achieve the objective for which it was set.
The ceremony also saw several workers awarded for their hard work and commitment to work. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
United Party for National Development UPND Lusaka Youth Provincial Chairperson Anderson Banda says opposition political parties that shun national events in Zambia should consider themselves irrelevant. In an interview, Mr. Banda says party leaders, especially from opposition political parties, should strive to participate in national events, adding that if they trash such programs, they are not fit to be described as leaders in waiting. Mr. Banda states that the Labor Day celebration should be acknowledged by everyone, adding that the UPND administration has done a lot to demonstrate its commitment where Labor Day matters are concerned. He says it is ridiculous for some opposition political parties to shun the celebration on grounds that no employment has been created by government, forgetting the recent empowerment of teachers and health workers.
Opposition political parties boycotted the Labor Day celebration this morning, the 1st of May 2023, among them the Leadership Movement Party. Some of the reasons cited by the opposition to shun from the celebration is that the ruling United Party for National Development has not shown any commitment where labor matters are concerned, adding that the majority of youths in the country remain unemployed and the alternative much talked about Constituency Development Fund is not yielding results.
So because we are not yet on that trajectory, we are unable to celebrate Labor Day as Leadership Movement Party, and we urge all the youths to use this day or to take this day to reflect on why such a blessed country with many resources, many minerals, is still languishing in poverty, with its majority still being unemployed.
However, the ruling UPND says all workers should ignore the opposition stance on the day which is celebrated the world over. UPND Lusaka Youth Provincial Chairperson Anderson Banda says Labor Day celebration should be acknowledged by everyone, adding that the UPND administration has done a lot to demonstrate its commitment where labor matters are concerned. Mr. Banda says ascension coming from the opposition advising people not to celebrate the day is cheap politics.
I want to lavish assertions coming from the opposition political players who are saying that they cannot celebrate Labor Day because of reasons based known to themselves. I think that is the worst form of leadership exhibition from them, because to start with, Labor Day is a national day. It's in the constitution of our country, and they want to be one day leaders of this country. So if they can trash what is in the constitution, I think they are not fit to be called leaders in waiting, public leaders in waiting, because they don't qualify. They cannot destroy what they want to uphold when they are there in the offices.
The ruling party has also praised itself for putting in place good policies which promote and support people who are employed, and also the creation of jobs for citizens.
Job creation, UPND has created thousands of jobs, direct and indirect. Records are there. even in the private sector, which consumes about 70% of laborers, belongs to the private sector. We have seen the president himself signing MOUs with different big companies, the mining companies, energy companies, and many others. Also, the political environment is very conducive for people to expand their businesses, local entrepreneurs. There's support coming from medium and small enterprise, support through the program under CEC, where people can get monies and expand their businesses. When the business expands, it needs labor also to increase. So basically, UPND government has created so many ways in making sure that the labor movement is supported.
Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
The labor movement has expressed concern that pay-as-you-earn is a major contributor to taxes, reflecting that the workers are contributing more to the country's development. The Zambia Congress of Trade Unions representative Mtale Chushi says has proposed that the government reduces tax rates under the pay-as-you-earn taxable threshold. And now, during the commutation of the labor movement, further reminded government to be transparent on the debt restructuring process, the need to undertake labor reforms and address issues surrounding Konkola copper mines. And officiating the event, Chilanga District Commissioner David Sheleni, who reiterated government's commitment to steer social and economic progress, acknowledged that a motivated workforce is critical to the development of the country. This year's Labor Day was being commemorated under the theme Accelerating Job Creation for Economic Growth.
Labor Day is an annual holiday to celebrate the achievement of workers and look at areas that need attention towards safeguarding the interests of workers and job seekers. And the workers in the public and private sectors in Lusaka's Chilanga district turned up to commemorate the International Labor Day under the theme Accelerating Job Creation for Economic Growth.
At the stage of our economy has reached is very critical, and the theme sits very well in defining the future of work in Zambia. We need to create jobs that are locally supported, and the jobs created must be decent jobs. We insist on creation of decent jobs because it is only decent jobs that can help workers escape poverty and achieve economic emancipation. It is important for us to bring to your attention, guest of honor, that the country is experiencing high unemployment, and it is one of the key and most pressing issues of our present time, therefore needing urgent attention.
The labor movement used the occasion to remind the government of the need to improve the workers' welfare and curtailing corporate greed. The Zambia Congress of Trade Unions reminded the government of the need to undertake labor reforms and reduce the rate for pay-as-you-earn to allow workers have disposable income. The government was further reminded to address issues surrounding Konkola copper mines, KCM, recapitalize critical sectors, as well as steer industrialization and making sure that Zambians take a lead in the running of the wheels of the local economy. And officiating the event, Chilanga District Commissioner David Sheleni, who highlighted government's commitment to steer social and economic progress, acknowledged that a motivated workforce is crucial for national development.
The welfare of our workers will always be going up, it will always be uplifted, it will always be improved. Because the new Dawn government, under His Excellency the President, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, knows that you cannot have a strong economy if you don't have a strong labor force. So it's imperative that we need to have a very strong labor force. The workers' welfare must be paramount.
He says trade unions have a huge role to play in educating workers on their rights and obligations.
You must have heard that the Honorable Minister of Mines made a mention about Konkola copper mines and that they have actually finished. Okay, they have discussed, they have finished. They cannot reveal to everybody else what they have agreed upon without first consulting the mines unions, the unions that represent mines. Immediately when that is done, they are going to review. We really said it can be as early as this week, maybe next week. Now let's understand, let's be clear about this. That the time that it may have, the time that seems to have been, the long time that it seems to have been taken could be because the government wants to ensure that whatever investor takes over, Konkola and Mopandi, will ensure that Zambia as a country, Zambia as the owners of those mines, must have good conditions as well.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News.
Kibanza Ward Councillor in Kalumbila District, Moses Kokela, has called for discipline among the 42 youths that are being sponsored in various skills programs. Government has sponsored 42 youths from Kalumbila District in various skills development using 2023 Constituency Development Funds, CDF. Mr. Kokela explains that discipline is a key for every youth to be successful in their various skills. He has encouraged the beneficiaries to utilize the rare opportunity being given by government.
Mambo kechi mwaya kwa nove jiji na zenu ne mwaya nove ka kibanza barako mbaya we yufu wafunia Karumbira mu Kibanza wadi wakupuma ba lecture mu office jikofu bakafika tumba I think ngeba kwetu bayuka kizungu kya kurapura nishinoko afu matafu ndo mwana kuchumva no kwa afu matafu stajani tafu ndo abena we bakexenda twekibikane pa TV no wajikaimbi yufi wakukibanza wadi knows how to throw punches wibembere baticha lipa panoneba mambo mkwenu mwabaleko mba boyi uli chaume nacho waipa jiji na yabako watu mba mwaba ka prime afu mapimba Karumbira kwetu side kukibanza ba forget hope manganabira. So when you are disciplined ni shimana kwitu kwa shako na ate.
A political activist, Dante Saunders, has urged Zambian citizens to speak out on their grievances without intimidation as they advocated for change of administration, using their vote in 2021 to see their needs met. In an interview, Mr. Saunders has also advised leaders under the United Party for National Development (UPND) to develop servants leadership which recognizes citizens as their bosses. He, however, states that rising sentiments from some voters across the country that they will stay away from the 2026 general elections as they are unsatisfied with the performance of the current administration and not helpful, as this will not allow for democracy to thrive. More in this report.
Despite being in office for 1 year and 9 months, expectations from the United Party for National Development (UPND) administration have been high from both citizens and stakeholders on the political scene, who have been demanding to see the heavily packaged UPND manifesto being delivered. While the offering of checks and balances from some opposition political parties, among them the former ruling Patriotic Front (PF), have been described as malicious, a political activist, Dante Saunders, says ordinary citizens who voted in the UPND should not shy away from pointing out their needs which they want fulfilled, as this was the reason for voting out the PF. High among the demands of citizens have been the lowering of the cost of living, as well as employment creation, among others. The political activist was speaking to Camnet News.
But if we are going to put that particular party in power, then we must have the say also to say, please, Mr. President, please, members of parliament, please, councillors, can you listen to us? This is what we want. And that's the end of the story. You do it our way. If you don't do it our way, we must find a way to remove you quickly, peacefully, without fear or favor. These issues, We can do it amongst ourselves. You don't need to be like the way this gang in PF. I'm calling it a gang because it's not all the people in PF that agree with those people. They want to reach a peaceful settlement. They want to get on with their lives.
Mr. Saunders has also pointed out the need for voters to turn up in numbers come 2026 and not to shun away as many have been indicating, stating that this is the only way they can support democracy.
Because what is important is that we as a people, we on the ground, the voters and the people of this country, we are actually the bosses. We are actually the bosses of the president and his entire team and all the members of parliament and all the councillors. We, the people on the ground, we are the bosses. So what we do, if the person does not work for us well, we must throw them out, yes. So staying at home and saying you are going to boycott elections and stuff like that, you are giving these politicians the opportunity to think that they are the bosses. They are not the bosses. That mentality, we must drive it out of our mind. That is how you are going to give them powers to run the country the way they want to run it. For us as Zambian people, I want to also ask people to be encouraged. Let us talk about issues that's affecting us. Let's continue to talk about these things. Bring it out to the public.
He has further called for patience even as citizens point out their demands, noting that the current administration is working with citizens but must be given enough time to respond, noting that the UPND has not even served half of its 5-year tenure. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Governance and development advocates have Zambia Executive Director Elias Mlenga says they call by President Hakainde Hichilema for the Food Reserve Agency FRA to pay farmers within 48 hours after delivery of maize to the agency for the year 2023 will go a long way in curbing the selling of maize to private buyers, which in turn promotes smuggling of the commodity. In an interview, Mr. Mlenga notes that this will also ensure food security and prevent the maize and melon meal shortage crisis that the country witnessed of recent. He has further urged governments to ensure proper planning for the 2023-2024 farming season to see to it that all goes well for farmers under the Farmer Input Support Program FISIP across the country. The 2023 crop marketing exercise is scheduled to run from 1st May to 31st October 2023.
Commendable in the sense that we are going to be assured of food security in the country. Farmers should avoid buying maize from unscrupulous briefcase buyers, in the sense that these people, they buy maize and hide, causing artificial shortage of the commodity in the nation. I'd like to call upon councils to come on board in helping the government to ensure that only Food Reserve Agency is buying the commodity from our farmers in order for us to have food security in the nation.
Thank you so much for sticking around. Just now we take our first set of commercials. When we get back, we have more news.
Your skin is the biggest muscle in your body. That's why we make sure that Oracle is #1 when it comes to taking care of your precious skin. Oracle Pure Petroleum Jelly and Glycerin soothes, moisturizes and keeps your skin perfect. Oracle Pure Petroleum products for that perfect skin.
From time immemorial, we have had different types of lighting options, from those that can burn down our investments in minutes to those that dig holes in our pockets due to constant replacement and huge consumption of our ZESCO units. Savenda Electric introduces the new and advanced electric bulb with cutting-edge technology of LED that has low power consumption, gives out bright white light, and lasts up to 25,000 hours. Savenda Electric manufactures all types of LED light like plastic LED fluorescent tubes, down lights, ceiling lights, outdoor fittings, and solar street lights made to customer specifications. Let's live on the bright side of life by choosing the wide range of Savenda electric lighting solutions that are available in all leading stores and supermarkets countrywide. For orders, call 0962-642-490 or email jnbunda@savenda.com or pchabula@savenda.com.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. Renglow, your smart irrigation partner.
Zambia, a nation under God overnight prayer summit. Can God heal a nation economically, morally? Can Jehovah heal individuals from their bondages and troubles? Lusaka and Zambia is coming alive by overcoming traditions and denominational barriers. Believers called by the name of the Lord are gathering to seek the face of God in repentance and intercession for the nation. Don't miss this Holy Spirit-inspired overnight. Come and attend this overnight prayer summit. Date, 5th May 2023. Venue, Healing Word Ministries International in Ibex Hill, Kablonga. Time, 1945 hours. Speakers, Dr. Billy Lubansa.
Chitwe mambo, solwe solwe, chimwitwa pakakala, chisha ibumba, lesa wamilalo, kape kape, upelango kufitila, katantala pamabim, lesa naluntutwe, chimba milonga, chanda mayanda, zambi mwina bantu, zambi wabukola.
Dr. Francis Miles.
You go in the court of heaven, is the book of your destiny. When that book opens, come on somebody, it carries a testimony that contradicts every struggle in your life.
And your hosts, Pastor Victoria and Moses Chiluba. Ministering in music, Brother Chifundo from the Copper Belt. Brother Oswald from Lusaka. Don't miss this life-changing prayer summit. See you there.
Welcome back. We continue with the news. Now, Gender Division Principal Gender Officer Limpo C. Shikanu has challenged adolescent girls to stay away from early sexual activities whilst in school. Ms. C. Shikanu explains during adolescence in Ms. C. Shikanu explains in Solwezi district that many young boys and girls become more sexually active, hence the need to concentrate on their education. Ms. C. Shikanu says if a school-going child wants to become a doctor, certain activities that may lead to bad vices must be avoided at all costs.
As in, it's not something fake. They are real. And at this stage, this is where most of the young ones actually contract the disease, because this is when they become sexually active. So, to you, the young ones, the other activities, I'm sure the teachers have done their good job. Sexual activities are not for you. They have their own time. Is that clear? Yes. If you want to be a doctor, some of these activities have to be left out until such a time when you are ready and you're able to make the right decisions. At this level, the decisions that you are making, certain decisions, may not be correct, may not be right, because you may not have the necessary, the proper information to help you make a decision. So before you do anything, where do you get your consultation from? Who do you consult to? Yes? Parents. The parents. Who else? The guidance teachers. Who else? The nearest facilities. Very good. Clap for yourselves.
Federation of Small-Scale Miners of Zambia have welcomed President Hakainde Hichilema's pronouncement that artisanal mining licenses should strictly be reserved for the local people. Federation President Joseph Kabuswe, however, says the pronouncement alone do not resolve the real challenge that the acquisition of mining licenses pose. Mr. Kabuswe says the process of licenses acquisition is very complicated and expensive, adding that most poor Zambians cannot afford to pay for the over 80,000 kwacha required for an artisanal miner to get a license. He says that the president should instead help revise the tedious process and make it easy for the Zambian people to access the mining license. President Hichilema, during the address at the commemoration of Labor Day Monday, announced that the artisanal mining licenses should strictly be left for the local people.
Foreign investors, we love them. They have their place. But the small artisanal mines will be for Zambian citizens only. That's why we're restructuring the cadastre there, to follow through the mistakes, the carelessness that we saw in the 10 years past.
We are glad as a sector, as a Federation of Small-Scale Miners of Zambia, concerning the pronouncement from His Excellency. That was a great pronouncement concerning our sector. But as much as the pronouncement, it was great, there are some hindrances on the ground. For one to get a license, the process is too expensive. One has to engage the consultants, who sometimes they charge 30,000, 40,000, 20,000. The lowest is 15,000, and you must have a relationship with that person. So if you were to calculate, and Zema charges 13,500, the SEFT also, they charge about 12,000, 8,500. The council, to come to where your mine is, you have to book a taxi, you have to book a van. Maybe it will cost about 4,500. If you put the money together, it will be up to 70,000 to 8,000 kwacha. How can someone in the village who discover the minerals is struggling just to buy 3 bags of fertilizer? How do you expect that person to pay such charges? What is on the ground, it hinders. The Zema document, it's an hindrance, everyone knows this. And I don't know why, up to now, this document has not been taken to Parliament to go through and to simplify. And this has been our cry time and again.
We'll take our last break. We'll be right back with the rest of the news.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. RenGlow, your smart irrigation partner.
A nation under God overnight prayer summit. Can God heal a nation economically, morally? Can Jehovah heal individuals from their bondages and troubles? Lusaka and Zambia is coming alive by overcoming traditions and denominational barriers. Believers called by the name of the Lord are gathering to seek the face of God in repentance and intercession for the nation. Don't miss this Holy Spirit-inspired overnight. Come and attend this overnight prayer summit. Date, 5th May 2023. Venue, Healing Word Ministries International in Ibex Hill, Kablonga. Time, 1945 hours. Speakers, Dr. Billy Lubansa.
Chitwe mambo, solwe solwe, chimuitwa pakakali. Chishaibumba. Amen. Lesa wamilalo. Amen. Kape kape. Amen. Upelango kufwiti. Amen. Katantala pamabim. lesana luntutwe chimba milonga chanda mayan zambi mwina bantu zambi wabukola.
Dr. Francis Miles.
God in the court of heaven is the book of your destiny. When that book opens, come on somebody, it carries a testimony that contradicts every struggle in your life.
And your hosts, Pastor Victoria and Moses Chiluba. Ministering in music, Brother Chifundo from the Copper Belt. Brother Oswald from Lusaka. Don't miss this life-changing prayer summit. See you there.
Welcome back. In international news, as the conflict in Sudan enters its third week, the World Health Organization's regional director for the Eastern Mediterranean alerted for the consequences of the conflict in the healthcare facilities in the country. The conflict has sparked an exodus of trained health care professionals from the country, further aggravating the situation. Estimates suggest that 24,000 women will give birth without maternal care in the coming weeks. Here is a roundup of international news.
Hundreds of Nigerian students are still stranded in the conflict-hit Sudan, where fighting between two warring generals has claimed more than 500 lives. Nigeria began evacuating the first batch of around 3,500 of its nationals, mostly students, as a Friday ceasefire allowed foreigners to flee the country.
They closed the road. They said no car will go out until all the cars are delivered. They only delivered only 5 cars. So we are expecting 35 more cars so that we can move.
Officials say there are more than 5,000 Nigerians in Sudan. Since fighting erupted, at least 500 people have been killed and more than 4,000 wounded, according to the United Nations agencies, which also reported Sudanese civilians fleeing to Chad, Egypt, and South Sudan.
Convening in Cairo, Egypt, Arab League permanent members held Monday an emergency meeting on the fighting in Sudan. Egypt's deputy permanent representative outlined a draft resolution to halt fighting in the neighboring country. Within the draft resolution, Egypt calls for an immediate and comprehensive cessation of conflict and for all parties to initiate their efforts to give priority to the Sudanese people and stop bloodshed, which is a prerequisite for returning to political dialogue through which the crisis can be resolved comprehensively. Officially, at least 528 people have been killed and almost 4,600 wounded in the violence between the army and Sudan's paramilitary group RSF. Until that morning, Egypt had received nearly 40,000 Sudanese across the southern borders of Arqin and Qastal. Despite the formal extension of a truce, fierce fighting raged Monday between Sudan's warring sides. Some 50,000 people have fled, seeking refuge in neighboring countries. Top UN humanitarian official Martin Griffiths lamented the exponential rise of costs of transportation out of worst-hit areas.
As the conflict in Sudan enters its third week, the World Health Organization's regional director for the Eastern Mediterranean alerted for the consequences of the conflict in the healthcare facilities in the country. In numbers, approximately 61% of the medical institutes in Khartoum stopped working because of the direct military attacks, military occupation for those institutes, and firing their staff. 23% of the hospitals in Khartoum work partially, and 16% work at full capacity. This is the health situation in Sudan, especially in the conflict areas. The conflict has sparked an exodus of trained healthcare professionals from the country, further aggravating the situation. Estimates suggest that 24,000 women will give birth without maternal care in the coming weeks. Many working and trained minds in the healthcare sector are fleeing Sudan. There is a withdrawal of many NGOs and non-NGOs due to direct attacks. By all means, it's a disaster. According to the UN, even before the conflict, 15.8 million people in Sudan, about a third of the population, were already in need of aid.
And that is on international news. Time now for sports. In sports news, Chess Federation of Zambia President Leslie Chikuse has urged winners of the Zambia Schools and Youth Chess Championship to continue working hard. The competition that was held at OIDC Zambia Sports Development Center saw the selection of players who will represent Zambia in the local and international tournaments. Chikuse explains that championship was a qualifier for the Africa Youth Chess Championship to be held later this year, and United Party for National Development National Youth Chairman Gilbert Lisoniso has hailed the Federation for successfully hosting the tournament.
Those that have won from number 1 to number 3 qualify for the Africa Youth Chess Championship, Commonwealth Youth Chess Championship, and all other youth international tournaments. So the only, I just want us to be very clear. The only difference is that the number 1, the one who gets the 1 slot, is an official player. What it means when we say you are the official player, the host nation will give you free accommodation and free everything. The federation only, sponsors air ticket. But for the other 2 players who are also in the national team, the federation will have to get you, an air ticket, as well as make sure that we get you the money, where you are going. But you have all qualified to that tournament, and the federation will sponsor you.
I don't have much to say. I just want to say thank you very much. The young people have spent time, and I can see even the number itself. It tells you that we have now a talent in our country. I want to assure you that we'll pursue our plan to ensure that the next one, the press should come to see what is happening here and the Federation of Chess. So that at the end of the day,
a very fun tournament. Thank you. Thank you for the parents. I think the parents did a great job and they helped the children a lot. I guess the children are the most important. Good job, everyone.
And that is all the news that we had for you at this hour. Thank you so much for joining us. But before we go, let's look at some of the top stories that made the news. President Hakainde Hichilema challenges the labor movement support efforts to curb wasteful expenditure. Police in Lusaka's Kanyama compound have arrested 14 suspected criminals. A political activist advises citizens against shunning voting on account of failed campaign pledges. In international headlines, hundreds of Nigerian students are still stranded in the conflict-hit Sudan. And in sports, Chess Federation President Leslie Chikuse urges young players to work hard. We now look at the Camnet verse of the day coming from Genesis 1 verse 31. It reads, God saw all that he had made, and it was very good. And there was evening, and there was morning, the 6th day. Thank you so much for watching. On behalf of the entire production and news crew, my name is Louisiana Lupumbo. It's bye for now. God bless and have a pleasant evening.